President Donald Trump has signed a record number of executive orders in his first week of office. There have been 17 total, from the Keystone pipeline to scrapping the Trans-Pacific Partnership and building the border wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. The new president has just about covered all of his bases. Many of his supporters are cheering his executive actions, but others have been outraged by the process. Joining now to break down the president's first week in office is our Roundup panel. It's led by our Fox 26 senior legal analyst, Chris Tridico. We also have former Harris County Democratic Party Chair Jerry Bernberg, and conservative attorney Michelle Byington is joining us this morning as well, live here at Discovery Green. It's great to have you all out here discussing this important first week in office for President Trump. Let's start with the Keystone pipeline and what it could mean for Houston.
You know, this has been going on for such a very long time. President Obama thought about it for, as I recall, almost 2 years before he finally signed an order saying he would not allow, he blocked the pipeline, and finally, and that came late in his presidency. Jerry Bernberg, now President Trump undid that in his first week, allowing that pipeline to come through. The controversy really was coming right across the border through some Indian lands that they said was sacred land.
No, actually, those are two separate deals. That's a separate pipeline.
Oh, I forgot.
The controversy actually did have to do with entering the United States from Canada. As far as Houston is concerned, the pipeline probably brings extra trade to the refineries here. But as far as the world is concerned, it's going to do nothing but continue to depress the price of oil. It's going to...
How's that?
Well, because you put more oil out there. That oil was going to end up in Asia anyway. The question was whether it was going to go across a pipeline and come here, whether it was going to go across the Pacific Ocean. Look, the bottom line is, I've been on the show and we've talked about it many times, and my answer was I didn't care about it one way or the other. What I didn't like was the fact that there was all this hysterical junk about how this was going to create jobs. It creates a total of 15.
That's my next question. Michelle, there's been a lot of talk. The Republicans have said for years it's going to bring 10,000 jobs. The report coming out of the Obama administration was it's going to add 10 jobs, literally 10 jobs. What is it?
It really depends on what you read and who you believe. So according to Forbes magazine, they say it's going to bring upward of 40,000 jobs. And what we've got to keep in mind is that there are hundreds of thousands of miles of pipeline underneath ground that transports oil and gas every day. There was no reason for this pipeline to be held up. It was pure political pandering to the environmental crowd. And if this brings 10 jobs, 1,000 jobs, or 40,000 jobs, it is great for Houston.
All right, so while we're talking about jobs, let's turn to Mexico. The president picked a fight with our, really one of our biggest trading partners that a lot of people are saying picked a fight over nothing. What's the big, tell me about, just talk about this. Border wall, Mexico's going to pay for it. Then he says, I'm going to do a 20% tax on imports. The American public's then paying for that wall, aren't they?
That's exactly right. So my free market, capitalist-loving heart, it kind of winces at this 20% increase on import tax. Look, I'm sure a lot of people are saying, you know what, add 20% to the tequila I drink, whatever. If I'm for the wall, then I'm willing to pay for it. However, what we have to look at is some of the biggest imports from Mexico are vehicles. It's machinery, it's fossil fuels, and that cost will be passed along to the companies, which will then pass it along to the American consumer, which is then going to raise prices.
This 20% tax is going to be a huge hit to the American economy, isn't it? Along with the Mexican economy.
First, no. What that means is that we're going to be the ones paying for the wall. That's the 20% extra tax is not a tax that Mexicans pay. It's a tax that American consumers pay. You know, I'm baffled by this whole thing. It used to be that Republicans were in favor of free trade. Not so much. It used to be that they were opposed to eminent domain. Now they want to expand it to build the wall. They used to be opposed to increasing budget deficits. Well, now we ought to pay for billions of dollars to build the wall and more ships and boats and planes for the military and a bunch of other things. I'm just baffled by the whole thing.
What about the Republican platform was, and Donald Trump's platform was, I won't raise taxes. In his first week in office, I'm going to put a 20% tax.
I mean, it really is a roundabout way. I mean, what he's trying to do is make good on these campaign promises. And once, you know, he was going out there saying Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Nope, that's not happening. Well, all right, fine. We'll put a 20% import tax on all of these. And he's just trying to find different options in order to get this wall built. And what I think we ought to do is take a page out of Israel's book and figure out how to get, you know, how they got their fence built. And they've got great border control now between Egypt and themselves now.
Yeah, but it's a pretty short wall. You've been there, both in height and in length. You can manage that
it's
when
working,
you're.
Though.
Well, it's working, but we still have to spend billions of dollars a year, and should, for the defense of Israel.
Right,
so that's where it really happens.
Let me break in here. We got less than a minute. Has Donald Trump had a good first week? Really, real quick.
The bad part about that, the answer is he's probably had about the best week he's going to have.
Donald Trump had a good first week?
I think he had a great first week. This is a man who is taking action. He is not all talk. He is on the move, and I think that he's really doing good by those who voted for him.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. We'll be back in the next hour with 2 really good topics.
All right, we're glad we could bring you all sides this morning. We'll see you guys in just a few minutes.